up, what up? We back for another action-packed week and another action-packed episode of Ness-XT, starring me, your boy True Hill Ness. Tonight's episode of NXT was another great show from top to bottom. A lot of action, a lot of hype for the Worlds Collide event that's coming up this weekend. That's sure to be a banger. I don't know what the fucking Royal Rumble is going to be like. I haven't been watching Raw or SmackDown like I've said before. But obviously, I've been watching NXT, a little bit of NXT UK, and everything that's going on these programs has been top notch. So, you know, the hype is real. I can't wait for this event to happen. But before we get into that, we're going to get into tonight's episode of Ness-XT. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to get into tonight's episode of NXT to get you hyped for this weekend's event. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into it, man. First match on the card, the opener was a match in the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag Team Tournament. We had the NXT Tag Team Champions Undisputed Era versus the Grizzled Young Vets, Zach Gibson and James Drake, which was a great match. I'm just run through it. The match starts off, Kyle O'Reilly coming in strong with his striking and trying to get one up on the Grizzled Young Vets. But the tag team awareness of the Grizzled Young Vets gives them the advantage. They just start doing a lot of tag team offense, and they ended up, gaining control of the match. As the match goes on, James Drake is distracted by outside members of Undisputed Era. They all came out to the ring, all four of them. So it's obviously going to give them advantage in, the numbers game and just throwing James Drake and Zach Gibson off of their game. As the match is going on, the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly end up, focusing on the left knee of James Drake, which played a little bit into the match because obviously they're just targeting, and these guys' wrestling styles breaks down. They laser focus on the limb, and they just start taking it out. As the match going on, Zach Gibson is tagged in finally from James Drake, and after a flurry of offense from Kyle O'Reilly, he tags in James Drake again, and they both end up taking out Kyle O'Reilly with some tag team offense. As the match is going on, they hit a nice little tag team move on the outside. Zach Gibson hits a backbreaker onto Kyle O'Reilly at the same time as James Drake is doing a slingshot elbow drop type of move. I think that was pretty dope. You guys know I'm a mark for the spots. As the match is going on, O'Reilly finally tags in Bobby Fish, and he comes in. He gets his hot tag, and he starts, taking out both members of the Grizzled Young Vets. Gibson goes for a Ticket to Ride, his patented, his version of basically, which is a code breaker. He does this from the second rope, but my man Bobby Fish, being, having the awareness, he counters it and puts Gibson into somewhat of like a heel hold ankle lock type of move. As the match is going on, so after some Grizzled Young Vets offense, Kyle O'Reilly tags back in, and Undisputed Era, they hit the Chasing the Dragon, which they try to go for a pin, but Zach Gibson kicks out at 2. I don't like that. I'm just straight up say that shit now. Chasing the Dragon used to be their finisher, a dope ass finisher, but now that they have the high-low, high-low is alright, but that's not a finisher move, not in my opinion. I kind of get why they do the high-low now as a finisher, because the Chasing the Dragon was their finisher outside of WWE and outside of NXT. So now they want to have something for their own entity. But let them have Chasing the Dragon. Chasing the Dragon is a dope move. Just let them do it. that's just how I felt. My bad. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. So after there, he kicks out of the after Gibson kicks out of the Chasing the Dragon, all four men get into a striking sequence where Kyle O'Reilly knocks Zach Gibson out of the ring. James Drake hits a super kick on Kyle O'Reilly, and then Fish and Drake are just trading shots with each other until O'Reilly returns in the ring and Undisputed Era regaining control of the match. Undisputed Era seems to be ready to end the match, but out comes Imperium, distracting them from James Drake and Zach Gibson. Again, Imperium and Undisputed Era have been going back and forth for the past few weeks. Just last week or the week before at the NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2 pay-per-view event or special event on the WWE Network. At the end, Undisputed Era came out and attacked Walter. They ended up fighting or attacking all of Imperium. So this was one of Imperium's plays that they did for the night. As they're off to the side, like off on a perch or some shit. I don't know. They're in the crowd somewhere. So, they're not paying no mind to Zach Gibson and James Drake. So Bobby Fish is taken out by Zach Gibson. Gibson gets back in. They get the Grizzled Young Vets hit the Ticket to Mayhem onto Kyle O'Reilly, pick up the win. Now they advance to the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag Team Tournament. This was a big loss for Undisputed Era. They were looking to be the only team to win the Dusty Rhodes Classic 2 years in a row. Again, that would have been a major feather in their cap for not only, winning this winning this tournament 2 years in a row, but, they all have the gold. Like, they have all the gold at the moment, So that was a major letdown for them, and as the night goes on, there's like a video package or the backstage promo where, they address that. But, it was a good match overall. I'll give it a B+. Again, how I feel about the NXT opening matches. These guys go out as long as they get the crowd hot. Crowd was definitely engaged. The action in the ring made for a great match. So everything far as the in-ring content and then just the atmosphere of the Full Sail University, everybody was around, everybody was into it, which made it that much more of a better match. And then on top of it, the story between Undisputed Era and Imperium coming to a head as, this happening as well, that made for a great story too. So everything, all these elements coming into one just made a great thing. And also, the Grizzled Young Vets, again, like I said in my last episode of Ness-XT, everybody probably thought that all the NXT UK teams were going to come in here and get squashed. So they can definitely, these guys getting the win is a major look for them. That's definitely dope. Shout out to these guys. I'm actually I can say I'm becoming a fan more seeing them from watching the NXT UK special and seeing them on these reoccurring episodes of NXT in the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag Team Tournament, that I'm actually becoming a fan of their in-ring style. Zach Gibson's a dickhead, so he's an absolute asshole, and I definitely am a fan of that, because who doesn't like great heel work? So overall, the opener and then like the other storytelling elements behind everything that happened in this match are all made for great NXT TV. So 2 thumbs up for everybody involved in this, and I can't wait to see these guys go far as the Grizzled Young Vets, their next match in the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag Team Tournament, the finals, that I believe are happening next week. So yeah, all right. So moving on. Sorry. Just gotta change my music. Alright. So, moving on. There was a Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm Worlds Collide video package, from an episode of NXT where Rhea Ripley came out, being happy that she's now the NXT Women's Champion. And then, how Toni Storm came out and challenged her for the NXT Women's title. Her original plan was to be NXT UK Women's Champion, fighting for the NXT Women's Championship as well. That didn't work out. Kaylee Ray retained at TakeOver Blackpool 2. But, she still gets the title shot at Worlds Collide. So the hype was real for that as well. Which led to the next match on the card, which was Toni Storm versus Io Shirai. What I liked about the opening of this match is that the commentary played up on the part that both these women have history. I think I've mentioned this before at one point, that they were both wrestling in Stardom in Japan, a Joshi promotion in Japan, all-female wrestling promotion in Japan, which they didn't say that outright, but they said that they had, obviously they didn't mention Stardom, but, for those that know, they know where they came from. And for those that didn't know, it was a nice, it was refreshing to hear that they played up on the fact that they're not strangers to each other, or they tried to diminish the fact that these two have met in the ring once before. Now they're just doing it in NXT. So kudos to the NXT commentary for playing up on that. So the match starts off with a little bit technical wrestling, which was I like to see from the women, which we don't really get that a lot from other brands under the WWE umbrella. But but as they're both going through the motions, each woman is pretty much getting a slight advantage over the other, but not too much, because they were making it show that they're both equal. They're both equally strong. It wasn't just one dominating the other, which was I like that for the start of the match. After a while, Io Shirai does Toni Storm actually tries to go for a German suplex, but Io Shirai slips out of the ring as Toni Storm is basically trying to chase her or follow her out. Io Shirai hits a single leg drop kick. Now is gaining the control, because obviously it took for a moment for Toni Storm to be open and vulnerable for Io Shirai to strike and finally take control of the match. So as the match is going on, Shirai has the momentum going forward, and she's pretty much just keeping Toni Storm grounded. She's not really getting much offense in. Shirai is just being methodical in the pace of the match and just being on top of Toni Storm. So that was very good as far as that part in the match, showing that Io Shirai, they call it a genius of the sky, but she was just a genius in the ring overall at this point of the match. So as the match is going on, Toni Storm finally does attempt to battle back, hitting a German suplex onto Io Shirai, and then a basement clothesline. Toni Storm tries to go for the Storm Zero, but is countered. Io Shirai hits her with a palm strike uppercut, but Toni Storm answers back with a lariat clothesline of her own. As the match is going on again, Io Shirai attempts a roll-up pin, follows up the pin with a roundhouse kick to Toni Storm's head. She then tries to attempt the Tiger Feint kick. For those that don't know what a Tiger Feint kick is, it is the 619. There you go. Tiger feint kick, 619. That's all it is. So when this happens, actually, Toni Storm catches Io Shirai's legs and then hits her with a drop kick. So again, that plays up on the history between the two, that they know each other so well that she knew that it was coming. So, but right after this, Bianca Belair interjects herself in the match, attacking both women, but she actually attacks Toni Storm first, giving Toni Storm the disqualification victory over Io Shirai. So at this point, Toni Storm is just getting beat up on by Bianca Belair. Out comes Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley comes out and pretty much tries to make a save. Her and Bianca Belair, they're brawling for a little bit. Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley getting the best of Bianca Belair after a while. So Io Shirai then comes back in the ring, hits a springboard drop kick onto Rhea Ripley. She throws Bianca Belair out of the ring and hits an Asai moonsault on both women, which was, beautiful. One of the, if not the best, then definitely one of the best moonsaults in wrestling, period. So right after she hits the Asai moonsault, Toni Storm hits a low rope tope suicida, taking out Io Shirai. She rolls back in the ring, standing tall over all the women that came out and ensued in the brawl. And as she's holding the NXT Women's Championship, she's met with a slew of boos because motherfuckers wasn't feeling that shit. They were definitely cheering for her at first during the match, but when she was, now she's holding the NXT Women's Championship, pretty much, insinuating that she's going to beat Rhea Ripley. But Rhea Ripley is the top women's wrestler or is the top women's face of NXT right now, and the crowd loves her. They're definitely not turning on her no time soon. So yeah, you did that to yourself, Toni. But overall, this match was another great match. And then again, the story that played out after the fact. There's been the story behind Io Shirai and Bianca Belair. There's a story behind Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Again, they played up on the history of Io Shirai and Toni Storm. Toni Storm and Bianca Belair really don't have any history, but they're pretty much making it now. So again, all the elements and all the parts of everything being mixed in for these four women definitely was well done, and I commend again NXT commentary and then just whoever produced this match. Like, everything flowed, and I can't wait to see Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm this weekend. I can't wait to see Io Shirai versus Bianca Belair when it gets to that point. Can't wait to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. Just everything. All these four women are phenomenal professional wrestlers, not even just women's wrestlers. It's just all phenomenal wrestlers in general. So kudos to all the ladies in this match. And then in the post-match segment, everything was done to a T, and I'm really a big fan of everything that happened. So moving on. Next up was the Undisputed Era backstage promo. Like I said earlier, that they were upset that they lost the match, but their thing was, Adam Cole was pretty much like, all right, we lost the match, it is what it is, but we still got all the championships. We got to focus on Roddy later on in the main event versus Keith Lee, which we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon. So whatever, they just move on. There was a video package promo from Ilya Dragunov, just basically hyping up his match against Finn Balor this weekend at Worlds Collide. Again, I'm looking forward to that match. These guys look like they're going to go out there and have I think that's going to be a sleeper. Like people aren't really talking about it that much, but I think that's going to be one of those matches that, you know, people aren't talking about that's going to turn out to be super dope. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out. Moving on. Next match on the card, it was Finn Balor versus Joaquin Wilde. Nothing to talk about. It was a squash. That's it. It was a squash match. That really wasn't nothing to talk about. Finn kicked his ass from bell to bell. Hit him with the coup de grace, 1916. That was it. I could have done without it. Moving on. There were video packages from both Shayna Baszler and Shotzi Blackheart earlier in the night. Shotzi Blackheart pretty much was talking about how she eliminated Shayna Baszler last week in the NXT Women's Battle Royal for the #1 contendership for the NXT Women's title. You know, she's just basically saying, you know, she takes care of business and she's just unpredictable. Nobody really expected her to be the one to eliminate Shayna Baszler, and then like she's bringing that same energy for her match against Shayna Baszler on tonight's episode of NXT. Shayna Baszler was just like, I'm gonna kick her ass. She's like, I'm gonna go out there, do what I gotta do, or do what I do, and take care of, she's really gonna take care of business. So Baszler starts off the match pretty much hitting off a bunch of submission holds and transitions, and pretty much belittling Shotzi Blackheart, like patting her on the head like she's a child or an animal, a pet type of shit. So, you know, it was pretty much like Shayna Baszler, you know, not taking her seriously, which not ultimately, but as the match goes on, that was pretty much not the right thing to do. She should have definitely took her serious. Blackheart battles back. You know, she gets a nice amount of offense in, but eventually, she gets a lot of offense in. Matter of fact, one spot that I loved in this match, Shotzi Blackheart hits a sliced bread on the apron. That shit looked fucking brutal. Like, it was like really brutal. But again, as the match is going on, Shotzi Blackheart has control. She goes for a diving senton. It's countered by Shayna Baszler. She gets Shotzi Blackheart in the Kirifuda clutch, and Shotzi Blackheart taps out. So again, kind of figured that was going to be the way things were going. Like, they're probably going to keep these two going for a little bit. Who knows? But, you know, I think that was the right decision to have Shayna Baszler get her momentum back after being eliminated by Shotzi Blackheart, just to say, like, yo, like, you're new here. I'm the real deal. I'm already established. You got to get it to work. You know, the newcomer versus the established veteran. So that was a nice little match. I give that like a C+. It wasn't nothing special. Oh, Finn and fucking Joaquin Wilde don't even get a grade. They don't even get a grade. So, and this match was like a C+. Next on the card, next that happened on the episode, there was a video package for the history between Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai finally actually explains why she tapped Tegan Nox, how she didn't like try to fight for her to be on Team Ripley, and she's supposed to be her best friend. You know, she felt the way about it, obviously. So, you know, both these ladies, they're going to be in a match next week on next week's episode of NXT, and we're going to see where it goes from there. I believe Tegan Nox should get this win, and if she doesn't, you know, let Dakota Kai do some dirty shit to get the win. Earlier in the night, there was a video promo package for, you know, the returning team of DIY. This is, you know, they're saying they're just returning for a one time. You know, they're going to be in a match at Worlds Collide versus Mustache Mountain, the team of Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. You know, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, they get a video package just hyping up their match. That's another somewhat of a dream match that definitely is going to be a banger at the Worlds Collide event. Again, like this Worlds Collide event card is fucking stacked. Like, it's super stacked. Next was a backstage promo from Angel Garza talking about his title defense at Worlds Collide in the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. As of right now, I know it's just him and Isaiah Swerve Scott. I forgot, or not even I forgot, that I really don't know who the other two people that are supposed to be in it. I think they're from NXT UK. But, you know, the hyping up that match, again, that's another match that's going to be, you know, again, this card is fucking stacked, so that's definitely another dope match that's going to be on the card. So the next match on this night's card of NXT was the team of Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle versus Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Martel Bartel. So the match starts off with Dunne and Eichner tying up, you know, coming to a stalemate of some sort. And then Imperium makes quick tags. Eventually, Dunne regains control and tags in Riddle for some tag team offense. Riddle attempts a Broton on Martel Bartel, but Bartel counters with getting his knees up. Both men make tags to their partners, but it's Dunne who comes in like a man on fire. Pete Dunne comes in and he's just cleaning house. You know, he's taking out. He takes out fucking Eichner. He takes out Bartel. He's just, you know, doing his flurry of offense. It was just, you know, classic Pete Dunne. Walter actually distracts Dunne, and at this point now, Imperium regains control in the match. They go to commercial break. After commercial break, Bartel still has advantage over Dunne, but at one point he's about to do some type of move from the second rope, but he's like pretty much taunting Pete Dunne. He does the, you know, the Imperium taunt, whatever the fuck they shit is. They put their hand behind their back, whatever. So he tries to jump off the second rope, gets met with a forearm of Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne gets tagged. Fabian Eichner is tagged in, but he gets hit with an enziguri from Pete Dunne, and Dunne tags in Matt Riddle, who then comes in again. You know, he's going off, getting his flurry of offense off the hot tag, taking out both members of Imperium, and you know, at this point, the Broserweights perform some tag team offense, but then Fabian Eichner he counters out of a move and pushes Pete Dunne into Matt Riddle, knocking Matt Riddle out of the ring. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, so knocks Pete Dunne out of the ring and then throws Matt Riddle into the corner, and him and Marcel Bartel hit stereo, like running low drop kicks onto Matt Riddle. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Stereo drop kicks in the corner. Yeah, so Riddle tags in Dunne, who tries to get his own offense in, but he had his leg tweaked earlier in the match, which didn't really help out as the match went on. So he tries to do like a moonsault off of Fabian Eichner's chest, and he's caught in a double team move by Imperium. Bartel tries to go for a pin, but it's broken up by Matt Riddle. Imperial regains control, but Dunne counters a suplex into an armbar, which then Riddle hits a ripcord knee onto Marcel Bartel. And then both members of the Broserweights hit a double spear on Fabian Eichner. Then Pete Dunne hits a spear on Marcel Bartel on the outside of the ring. Riddle counters the European bomb with a Hurricanrana. And he counters. Yeah, he counters. Fabian Eichner had him up for like the power bomb. He hits a Hurricane Rana onto Fabian Eichner. So then Marcel Bartel tries to hit a diving European uppercut, but he counters that and hits him with a German suplex, which that was a dope spot as well. As the match is going on, the closing sequence has the Broserweights hitting a combination of the Bro to Sleep and a Bro to Sleep from Matt Riddle and an Enziguri from Pete Dunne. So they get the victory. They advance to the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tag Team Tournament. After the match, excuse me, out comes the also finals participants and the Grizzled Young Vets. Zach Gibson comes out. He's saying, you know, whatever the fuck you guys call yourselves, the Broserweights, the joint manipulation, you know, nobody worried about none of that shit. Y'all going, like, we going to win. Y'all niggas going to lose. And especially, you know, he makes a point to say to Pete Dunne, like, you know, you're just a selfish asshole. You know, every time we are in a tournament or we're in a match, and like you know, you got to go out of your way to. They can't beat them, pretty much. You can't beat Pete Dunne. So, funny thing happens. Fucking Matt Riddle's pothead ass goes like, "Yo, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I can't even understand what you're saying." And then he's like, "You say something about joint manipulation," and then I just zoned out. You know, everybody knows Matt Riddle likes to partake in the devil's lettuce. So that was something like that. Like, everybody had a nice little laugh. I laughed. You know, the crowd's laughing. Now that shit is pretty decent. Like, it was pretty funny. But, you know, from the jokingness of Matt Riddle back to the serious of Pete Dunne, he's just like, well, look, he's basically saying they can't beat me, and this is what like I do. You know, they call me they said that he was a roadblock. He's just like, well, that's just gonna be, you know, that's just gonna continue. We're gonna win, and you guys are just gonna lose. Like, it is what it is. You know. So again, I'm looking forward to that match next week. Both teams, again, like I said, I'm becoming a fan of the Grizzled Young Vets. I'm already a fan of Pete Dunne. Already a fan of Matt Riddle. So, you know, that's an actual very, very nice tag team. I'm pulling for Riddle and Dunne to win, but I wouldn't be upset if the Grizzled Young Vets do win. You know, it would be nice for an actual tag team that could use the momentum. You know, I don't know if they're going to continue with Dunne and Riddle as a tag team once this is finished, but, you know, it would be nice to put the momentum in the Grizzled Young Vets. You know, they were NXT UK Tag Team Champions, and this will be a nice little feather in their cap as far as their careers as a tag team together. So, you know, who knows? I wouldn't be upset at either team winning in advance and becoming this year's NXT Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament winners. You know, so it's all good in the hood. Yeah. So, moving on. The main event of tonight's episode, we had Keith Lee versus Roderick Strong for the NXT North American title. There's been all sorts of hype surrounding this match. Last week, on NXT's episode last week, Undisputed Era targeted the left ankle of Keith Lee. So, you know, and then like after he got back, you know, while they were doing the DIY versus in Undisputed Era shit in the parking lot or outside of Full Sail, he fucking pounces Roddy into a fucking bush, you know, and it was just like he's just wrecking shop, just kicking niggas' asses, throwing them on the cars and shit. So it's a lot of animosity, a lot of built up tension for this match. So we just get right into it. The match starts off. I don't know why he tried this shit, because this nigga is nowhere near as strong as Keith Lee. But Roddy tries to target the ankle of Keith Lee, but Lee just overpowers him and just takes control of the match from the rip. So, you know, that was Roddy's dumbass fault for trying to think he can go toe-to-toe in strengths with Keith Lee. Lee remains in control of the match for the most part until the outside members of Undisputed Era and distract him, giving Roddy the chance to actually target that ankle again, and now he's done taking control of the match. Lee tries to fight back using the one good leg that he has, but Roddy is still able to keep control of the match and keep Lee grounded as the match is going on. Again, Lee is trying to fight back, trying to, get his wits about him, but Roddy is just, overpowering him now that he's actually able to target that injured ankle. Lee eventually hits a flapjack body drop, I don't fucking know what it's called, out of desperation, and is once again in control at the moment until Adam Cole distracts the referee, which then allows Bobby Fish to strike the injured ankle of Keith Lee. So now, Roddy is back at the advantage now that, Undisputed Era has interjected themselves in this match, pretty much, using a numbers game on Keith Lee because he's out there by himself versus literally at this point four people. So both men get into a striking battle of strikes, which Lee then, Keith Lee gets the better of Roderick Strong at this point, and he, for some reason, tries to climb the top turnbuckle. I guess he was going for a moonsault. Well, not the top turnbuckle. Yeah, he climbs the second turnbuckle. At this point, I think he's going for a moonsault, but Roddy quickly gets his wits about him, meets Keith Lee at that second turnbuckle, stops him from attempting whatever move he was about to do, and he hits an avalanche Olympic slam. That was definitely one of the better parts of the match, because I know I just said that Roddy can't match strengths with Keith Lee, but he is very strong in his own right. So, it was nice to see that as the match is going on. In a surprise turn of events, right after that spot with the avalanche Olympic slam, Roddy goes for a pin. Keith Lee legit kicks out at 1, like on some Hulk up shit. Fuck Hulk Hogan, but he pretty much like hulked up and shit. Again, Roddy tries to attempt a jumping knee strike, but it's blocked by Keith Lee. Keith Lee then in turn hits that double slap to the chest onto Roderick Strong, and then he hits him with a he hits him with the double knee, the double chop, and then he pounces again. This nigga Keith Lee just likes pouncing members of Undisputed Era all over the fucking place. He pounces Roddy outside of the ring onto his Undisputed Era cohorts. So as the match is going on, Lee rolls Strong back into the ring, hits a running lariat, goes for a pin. Roddy kicks out at 2. Lee attempts again, tries to go for that second rope moonsault. He doesn't make it. He misses. Strong again. Strong targets that injured ankle again with a heel hold, but Keith Lee is able to get a rope break. Again, both men try to strike each other, or throwing strikes again, with Keith Lee getting the advantage, only to turn his attention to the outside members of Undisputed Era, which he should have just stayed focused on Roddy, because this ends up leading to Roderick Strong hitting a jumping knee strike, and then follows it up with a sick kick, which was again another nice spot in this match. So as the match is going on, Lee kicks out after 2 count pin attempt, and then he counters another striking attempt from Roderick Strong, only to hit him with the fireman's carry jackhammer that he's been using as a finisher, and he picks up the win. Keith Lee is now the new NXT North American Champion. I, for one, But, pretty much everybody knew it was going to happen. It was a nice moment. Congratulations to Keith Lee on becoming NXT North American champion. Again, I was more so looking forward to Keith Lee possibly becoming NXT champion. Him versus Adam Cole. But again, ain't nothing wrong with a slow burn. Let him have this title win and let him go on to be a credible NXT North American champion. We got way more than enough time in the year for Keith Lee to become NXT champion. If not this year, and who knows? There's definitely no reason to rush it. He has the momentum. He has the backing, the support. He obviously has the in-ring ability and the talent to just continue to be a star in NXT altogether. So again, this was definitely a disappointment, major disappointment in Undisputed Era as a whole, because they are no longer draped in gold. I mean, they're still draped in gold, but now they're missing the title, and this might just be the start of them losing titles. Who knows, who could be next? It could be Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly lose the tag team titles next. It could be Adam Cole losing the title to Tommaso Ciampa at NXT Portland, TakeOver Portland. So who knows? But again, this was my match of the night. Definitely a dope match. It was A+. I give it a solid A. Again, for everything, the story behind everything that's been going on. So everything that's been going on with Keith Lee and Undisputed Era, they've been battling for months since NXT TakeOver War Games. Now he's finally come ahead of this feud and has become the NXT North American champion. So again, kudos to Keith Lee. You the man. You got me points in the fantasy league. Thanks for bringing the title and all these other points home for your boy. Yeah. So again, this was a banger of an episode. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, after this match, Keith Lee, he gets his win, so he's out of there. He's about to go celebrate. So Imperium makes their way to the ring. They attack Undisputed Era, and then this episode of NXT just ends with Undisputed Era brawling with Imperium. This nigga Walter hits the craziest chop on Adam Cole. Makes this nigga do a standing backflip. That shit was loud as fuck, and it looked like it hurt. And knowing Walter's chops, that shit definitely, more than likely, did hurt. So, yeah. Again, more hype for the Worlds Collide event coming up this weekend. And, I'm hyped for it. I'm pretty sure you guys are hyped for it. The best wrestling in WWE that's going on today. But it's been going on for years. But I'm more hyped for Worlds Collide than I am for the Royal Rumble, to be honest. And I don't even think that's an unpopular opinion. That's pretty fucking popular, I believe. So this was this week's episode of Ness-XT. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, again, as always, follow us on Instagram at True Hill Heat. Follow us on Twitter at True Hill Heat. Like us on Facebook at True Hill Heat. And join us at our Facebook group, True Heels. We're going to definitely be talking about all the stuff that's going on, not in just NXT, but just the world of wrestling. So come in, join us, check out all the segments on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. And, as always, I'm your boy, Ness, True Hill Ness. This has been Ness-XT. We'll see you next week. Actually, I'm sorry, not even next week. We'll see you after this weekend, because I'm going to be doing a review on Worlds Collide. So we'll see you again this weekend, later in this week, as well as next week. So yeah, boom, 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 boom.